Hello snowboarders of the internet, I am your host TC, and today I will be reviewing the Ride C-8. I rode these bindings at Arapahoe Basin where we got about 3 inches of fresh snow the day before. That just turned out to be dust on crust where it was pretty firm conditions underneath. As you made your way into the trees, it was better, a little bit more snow. I'm guessing it blew over there, but overall it was a super flat light day. I really couldn't see much out there. It was a lot of snowboarding based off of feel, but overall still a fun day because we're snowboarding. I used my Ride Fuse boots and my Jones Aviator 2.0. When we're talking the C-8, it is very straightforward and mostly toolless, where you have these flip tabs on the ankle and the toe, so pretty much just flip it and just slide it back and forth. You'll notice it wants to grab one way more than the other, making your life a little bit easier. Same with on the back here. Just a quick flip tab for that forward lean, makes it nice and easy, pretty much seems to be the industry standard now. And then where it gets a little bit tricky is you have 2 screws on each side of the binding. These screws are what you're gonna loosen and you'll be able to slide it back and forth just to get that heel centered. It does have numbers on here for your boots, so if you have a ride boot, it'll go exactly with it. If not, you're probably gonna have to play with it based on your boot size. You can also undo these heel screws as well and rotate that high back if you please. They have little grooves in here so you can really micro adjust that, get that in line with your heel edge if you're so inclined to do so. As you'll notice with these bindings, they do have a molded strap to it that you can actually take off. This one, you'll just pop it off, pull it all the way off, flip it over and put it on the other one and vice versa. That's gonna give you a surfier feel. The way they're actually set up right now is you have more response. So on the bottom here, you'll notice how this moves. The top section isn't going to, but keep in mind that you don't actually have any padding on these bindings, for the straps at least. So you're gonna have to pretty much rely on all of that padding on your boot. But overall, they did redesign this toe strap as well, so it's not super big and bulky as it was before. That whole molded piece is different now, so they did give it a little bit more stretch. They cut out some holes so it does fit boots a little bit better. I have a square toe box, so rocking this one over the toe wasn't a problem for me, or on top, it really didn't matter. I just went over the toe just because it fits my boot really well that way, but it's dealer's choice really. So overall, they are on the stiffer end, but if you just flip this ankle strap over, it'll be on that softer end for you. The ratchets on these bindings are fairly standard and they're pretty high quality, I would say, where even after the whole day of riding, I didn't get any teeth markups or anything like that on the ladders. They grip really well. There is a slight play on the ankle one, really nothing on the toe ratchet, so really don't have to worry about it. They are nice and easy to grip in your hands with mittens on, gloves on, doesn't really matter. You will notice there's a little play in this back release. You won't notice it when you're riding, that's just the way it's made. But overall, just very standard ratchets. They get the job done and there's really nothing flashy about them, and honestly, they just work. Remember to like, subscribe, click that bell, and turn on those notifications so you don't miss any of the content we have coming out. They actually took this high back off the C9 or the A9, whichever you want to pick from, but they actually took it off and put it on the C8 this year and the A8, which is actually my favorite high back that Ride makes. It's nice and narrow, so when you're going side to side, you still get a little play to it, but it is stiff. So when you go to engage that heel toe movement, it's right there with you, and it's super comfortable because they do give you a little bit of padding on it as well. But overall, my favorite high back. It does have that quick toolless adjustment on here as well, as I've mentioned before. Super easy to use. You need a little bit more forward lean, just flip it down, flip it back up. As I've always mentioned in the past, do not spin this thing around, just keep it where it's at. But overall, a nice stiff high back. It's not going to be the widest thing out there, so you don't have to worry about it pressing on the side of your boot or your boa, anything like that. Just nice, compact, and responsive. This binding does have some flex for being pretty responsive overall, where you do get that lateral movement when you're going to press or going to load up ollies, that sort of thing. But when you're going heel toe, it doesn't really have any flex to it. And most of the flex that is coming from the straps here, it's also coming from the base, where you have that full foam underneath, and then you'll have these urethane pads, which actually help you flex into it, drive power from the binding as well. So Overall, not going to be the most flexible binding out there by any means. You're pretty much, if you want that more aggressive ride, this would be for you. If you need something super surfy, I wouldn't recommend it at all. This binding rides really damp actually, where you have those urethane pods underneath the heel and the toes mixed with all of that foam underneath it. It just creates a nice damp ride. With this composite chassis as well, it cuts down on all those micro vibrations really well. So when I was on that icier, crunchier snow, I didn't really feel it quite as much as if I were to have like that A series where you have all that aluminum, kind of gonna send all that vibration up. Overall, a very nice damp ride on the binding. Not gonna be the most damp binding on the market, but it's up there with them. Rider in mind. This is definitely for that more technical rider. They need a more responsive binding because they're probably riding stiffer boards as well, or it's just made for that bigger rider. They just have a lot of mass to them and they just need a little bit more support. If you want to support us further, head on over to Angry Snowboarder VIP. Sure, I could explain what it is, but we have a great video over there getting into it really in depth. I really like the C-8. I owned a pair of these. In the older version, I owned a pair of the C9s as well, so for them to just mix it together, it's honestly perfect. I think both of those bindings kind of cannibalized the market there, where they were just picking from the same customer base, where they took the great highback from the C9 and they took the strap from the C8 and they just made it perfect. So overall, it is a great binding. I like what they've done. They've realized it's the same customer, so you might as well put them together. Comparable bindings: the Jones Mercury, the Rome Katana, and the K2 program. This has been my review for the Ride C8 binding. If you're thinking about picking up your own C8s, make sure you go check out Avran's video on how to set them up.